I noticed something strange. The most powerful people in the room were usually the quietest, not passive, not shy, not unsure. They just didn't react. Someone would challenge them. Silence. Someone would try to provoke them. Nothing. Someone would overshare. They listened, unmoved, and the room adjusted around them. At first, I thought this was confidence. Then I thought it was discipline. I was wrong. Because when I started doing the same thing, reacting less, not reacting better, something unexpected happened. People leaned in. Conversations slowed down. Authority shifted without a word being spoken. Not because I said something smart, but because I didn't rush to say anything at all. Most people believe power comes from what you project outward. It doesn't. It comes from what you refuse to leak. And once you see the mechanics behind this, you can't unsee them. We're told that influence is about presence, charisma, tone, delivery. But none of that explains this phenomenon. Why does the person who reacts the least often end up controlling the interaction? Why does silence sometimes feel heavier than words? Why do people instinctively respect someone who doesn't scramble to respond? This isn't psychology, not theory, not mindset talk. This is observable social mechanics. Patterns you can see play out in real rooms, with real people, every single day. And once you understand them, you stop trying to perform power and start embodying it. Because reacting less isn't about suppression. It's about something much deeper. Every reaction leaks data. Your tone, your speed, your defensiveness, your eagerness to explain. The moment you react, you reveal what affects you, what threatens you, what you care about, where you feel uncertain. Most people don't realize this. They think reacting shows engagement, or authenticity, or intelligence. But socially, reaction is exposure. The faster you react, the more readable you become. And in any interaction, readable equals predictable. Predictable equals controllable. That's why people who react instantly are often unconsciously led by those who don't. Here's what actually happens in social dynamics. When one person reacts emotionally and the other stays neutral, an asymmetry forms. One side is processing, the other side is observing. And the observer always holds the leverage. Not because they're smarter, but because they're not busy defending, explaining, or justifying. Silence creates asymmetry. Stillness creates imbalance. And imbalance shifts power. You've felt this before. Someone pauses after you speak, and suddenly you feel the need to fill the space. You start talking more, explaining more, justifying yourself. Nothing was asked of you, yet you volunteered everything. That's not coincidence, that's mechanics. Humans are pattern-reading machines. When someone doesn't react, the brain asks, why not? And it fills in the gap automatically. They must not feel threatened. They must already know something. They must be used to this level. The absence of reaction gets interpreted as surplus. Surplus of confidence. Surplus of status. Surplus of control. Even when none was intentionally projected. This is why arguing loudly often lowers status, while listening quietly raises it. The brain equates calm with capacity. At this point, many people misunderstand the idea. They try to act non-reactive, they force silence, they suppress emotion, they go cold, and it backfires. Because forced non-reaction feels tense, performative, artificial. The real shift doesn't come from holding back reactions, it comes from no longer needing them. And that only happens when you change how you observe the interaction. Most people enter conversations as participants. They're inside the exchange, emotionally invested, trying to win, defend, impress, or connect. But the people who react less are doing something different. They're observing the interaction as it unfolds, including themselves. They notice tone changes, power shifts, emotional spikes, timing. They're not detached, they're aware. And awareness creates space. That space is what dissolves compulsive reaction. You may have noticed this. The moment you step back internally, everything slows down. Words land differently. Provocations lose urgency. You don't feel rushed to respond. That's not discipline. That's temporal perception changing. Awareness stretches the moment, and the person who experiences more time inside the same interaction will always appear more composed, more grounded, more authoritative. Here's the part no one tells you. When you react less, others start reacting more. They mirror your pace unconsciously. They adjust to your stillness. The emotional load shifts away from you and onto them. They start seeking your response, your approval, your signal, without you asking for it. This is how leadership emerges naturally, not through dominance, through regulation. Think of meetings where one person speaks last, not because they demand it, but because everyone waits. They don't interrupt, they don't rush. They let the noise exhaust itself, and when they finally speak, their words land heavier, not because they're louder, but because the room is ready. That readiness was created by non-reaction. Notice what happens when someone explains too much. They lose weight. Every extra sentence feels like compensation. Non-reactive people don't over-explain because they're not trying to control perception. They let perception come to them. And paradoxically, that gives them more control. This only works when one thing changes internally. You stop needing the interaction to go a certain way. The moment you release that need, reaction loses its grip. You're no longer managing outcomes. You're watching mechanics. And mechanics don't require emotional output. They require attention. Here's the quiet truth. Power isn't something you project. It's something others feel when you don't leak urgency, when you don't chase validation, when you don't rush to stabilize the moment. Non-reaction isn't silence, it's self-containment. And once you experience how people adjust around that, you'll never go back to reacting the way you used to. In the next video, I'll show you how reacting less doesn't just change perception. It changes outcomes. Not by trying harder, but by understanding the hidden rules that govern influence in real life. If this shifted how you see social power, that next one will sharpen it even further. You'll feel it immediately.